So you already know that I have my journal, and it's just the three things that are important to me, something that you're grateful for, something that you are proud of, something that you dream of, and something that you pray for, depending on your beliefs. And then you can put your mood changes as well. But I also have some cute notebooks, and they can be found in lifewithfrancy.com/shop. And in there, I like sloths. So I have cute notebooks with sloths and then some more sloths, a cute one, and then some butterflies. So you can find it at lifewithfrancy.com/shop. And you can find the link in the description of this episode. Hello, and welcome to Life with Francy podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversation like mental health, self-love, self-care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a place where we support one another in business and personal life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. On today's solo episode, I am ahead. I'm like 2 weeks ahead recording this. I'm so proud of myself. It's been a minute since I pre-recorded, like ahead of time, a solo episode, but I'm trying to get better. I like not just updating you on things that I do, but have a topic for the solo episode so I could do it like this ahead of time and help for my virtual assistant that needs to do the clips to post on social media. And then just in case something happens, it's already recorded, uploaded, and ready to go. But anyways, on today's episode, I am going to share my new system for podcast interviews. So, you know that I love batch recording, and I talked to 45 people from the month of July to the month of September, or actually like June or before, because I already have a waiting list. So since I do seasons where I'm recording interviews and some seasons that I don't, then I keep a waiting list and just follow up with you. So in 3 months, I talked to 45 people and recorded about 41 interviews. 99% of them I had no problem. One needed a short part taken off. She regretted saying, so I was nice. It wasn't bad, but she still didn't want it there. And then one was an audiogram because she wasn't ready to put her face out there with her story. And one lost train of thought, and it was just funny. But I wanted to like that out. My podcast is barely any editing, just for like little shit like this. And then I'm going to have an average of 6 interviews per month and 1 to 3 solo episodes depending on the month. And I think that's a good balance to like show you new people that come in and give you tools and resources on how they did whatever they survive or how they do in life. And then some solo episodes either to update you on life or give you something of my tools and resources that I have used for myself. I had almost 6 months recorded from August to January when I did those 45 people. I made sure that the guests knew ahead of time to promote, like when I was recording in August, I would let them know, hey, this is for September or for October or for November. And then by the end, I was in January to see, if that would bother you or if you had something to promote that you knew that it wasn't going to be live. So I love batch recording because you have seasons where you're not sure if you want to keep going. And with batch recording, my podcast keep going no matter what. So even if I have a tough season where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, the podcast keeps going and then I can get my mojo back and start working on it again because it gets hard, especially at the beginning where you think that you're talking to yourself because you don't have a lot of listeners. And I have almost 200 episodes. So like it's like, oh my God. But I still gotta find people, to come to the podcast I'm listening to. With shout out to my 28 subscriber on Spotify and 52 subscribers on YouTube. Hi. um I might do 6 months of recording and 6 months of podcast guest appearances, depending on how I like having interviews that much ahead of time, because like right now I'm really not comfortable to keep recording, so I'm going to take a break till like November. And then in November, since I have vacation, like work my podcast for the most part and try to get those ready for March to like May or June. So we'll see how that goes. And then I am old school, so I did notebooks and I just put 1 to 50 and their names. I finished putting the day that the interview was recorded and the day that the interview was going to go live. If I uploaded it, which it was for Spotify for podcasters, YouTube, and the Drive, so my virtual assistant could get clips of the videos to promote the podcast. Since I work with a VA, virtual assistant, I did a Google document where I tell her all the information of the guests as they come in. If they come from Podmatch, I just send her over there and she can check the profile and get all the information that they have, because Podmatch is like a dating app for podcast hosts and podcast guests to do amazing collaborations, like most of the ones that I have, and then others for. And it's just like a dating profile. You look at the profile and see if they're a fit or not. And then other ones come from Women in Podcasting. Now, Podmatch is a paid community. Woman in Podcasting is a free community, and it's an amazing community created by Jennifer Hensel. Well, once again, podcast hosts and podcast guests can do amazing collaborations, like a lot of my guests that I come from um Woman in Podcasting. And then this Sonia from the Coaching Foundation found me, and she sends me some of her clients, but she sends me their bio, their headshots, so I have a little bit of knowledge of where they come from. And it's very rare. I think I have two from Instagram that we were just doing a follow, and then they were like, "Hey, do you take guests?" And I was like, "Heck yeah." And they will come on my podcast or I will go on theirs. And then she does the show notes and post them on social media. So I pretty much record my podcast and she takes care of the rest, my virtual assistant. So it's a lot nicer. And I do it this because I work really hard on my job. So I really don't have the time to do the behind the scenes. um I do reels and stories to promote the podcast, and that's like the best way. The listeners love to see your excitement, to tell you, hey, so today, on today's episode, I'm talking to so and so and we talked about this and that and whatever. So they can tell your excitement and they're like, oh, I want to know that, see what they were talking about in that conversation. I love doing podcast collaborations, because the sec the by the time the second interview ends, you feel like besties. So it's a long relationship, and I have had at least 10 out of the like 100 people that I have talked to, that I have stayed in like really connection, that where we're asking each other like, "Hey, how are you doing today? How's business going? How's the podcast going?" And so and so. Uh, well, that's about it. Hopefully, it gives you an idea if you think about like having your own podcast, or you have a podcast and want to have your own system. Podcasting can be a long and slow process journey. So, and a lot of work. Without a system, you might have to be intentional with your time and have less stress. So that is my system. It was 3 months, about 45 people. I split it on 6 interviews per month and then 3 solo episodes, but you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to do 8 and 10 episodes a month. You can stick to like the most common is once a week. So 4 episodes, you can pick one day out of the month and just do 4 episodes and then have that month covered. But if you want to work 3 to 6 months, then you have to be more intentional with your time. And I forgot that I use Calendly to do my interviews, schedule the interviews. All I do is like they can find me on my Podmatch, they can find it anywhere on my link tree, and then I post it on the comments of the groups that are available to where you're looking for guests. And then it's so easy because they go in there. Zoom is um connected to it. So when they set an appointment, Zoom creates a link for them too, and they send it, and they have other features, but you have to pay for the Calendly app. I have the free version, so and it works out great for me. And then I use Zoom to record my interviews, but I have been on a podcast where they use Riverside or they use StreamYard. So you might check into that if you don't like using Zoom. I use Zoom. I haven't had a problem with Zoom, so that works for me. If thing broke, don't fix it. Something like that. What the saying is. I think that's about it. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me at livewfrancy at gmail.com or on all social medias as Life with Francie podcast. For monetization on my podcast, I get paid doing interviews using Podmatch. And then I have now my online store where I offer my journals. My journal, I have one journal, and then I have cute notebooks that I offer on the website that you can find at lifewithfrancy.com/shop. I want to start bringing in sponsors, so stay tuned for that. Where like you can promote your small business or your podcast or whatever it is for a short fee, a cheap fee or something like that, so I can get sponsors and then that I choose and not just anybody and everybody. So right now for the podcast, I have my own ad, which is promoting my journal or promoting my notebooks. And then if my guests come from Podmatch, you always hear me giving them a shout out. So because it's an affiliate. So if somebody uses my link to sign up as well, I get a small commission out of it. So yeah, that's about it. What do you think of my system? What is your system? Do you have a system? So let me know, in the comments or send me an email or reach out to me on my social media. So, anyways, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Life with Francie podcast. Hope you enjoy this episode. And you know that you can find my podcast in all major platforms as well as my YouTube channel. On the show notes, you will find the links for my website or anything that I spoke of on the episode. An awesome way to support me is to follow, like, and subscribe depending on the app. And if you like to help the show, you can leave a review to help others find it. Thank you so much and hope you have a blessed day. Bye bye.